Brian, you made no secret throughout last year about need to get better, need to get better, need to get better. What does that look like this spring, and what's the emphasis on getting better?
Well, we've looked at a lot of things. Really, it can mean a lot of things. Obviously, our players, we need to develop our current players more, stronger, faster, the physical things that we can. We obviously need to keep adding pieces to our unit that are going to strengthen us. And then I guess there's other parts of, we need to look at the things that we're trying to do defensively. Are they the right things? Do we need to change anything, tweak anything? Quite honestly, we've looked at our coaching, our methods of coaching. Are we doing the right things? Are we missing anything from a coaching standpoint that could help our players? So really, there's a lot of things that we quite honestly need to look at and address. And I think we've, to this point, we've done a pretty comprehensive job of that, and we've made some of those little tweaks and adjustments to the things that we're doing. We've changed some things with our coaching, points of emphasis and things of that nature. Obviously, our guys are working hard in that off-season program, and they continue to work hard, and we've added a few pieces. So I think we've done what we can to this point to address the things that need to get changed and need to improve on. And I guess we'll see going forward how it all works out in the end.
Devin Phillips and Gage are two guys that are impressive off the hoof at least. What have you liked about what you've seen from them, and what do you feel like just holistically they add to that defensive tackle position?
Yeah, they are. I think, again, I never want to take anything away from our former players and things like that. I think those two guys, we're probably a little more athletic in there than maybe we had been. We probably don't weigh quite as much, overall, person by person, but I think we've added some athleticism in there for sure. And I think that'll help us, going forward. You mentioned those two guys. I think also guys like Austin Booker on the outside, that are guys that are going to give us length and athleticism and quite honestly help us with some of our depth situations. So, I feel good about those additions. I feel good about where we're at. Their defensive front is certainly some place that we just need to improve. We need to perform better there, become more factors in the outcome of games, and I think those guys will help us to do that.
Who do you see stepping up with Lonnie
Lucan? I think Jeremy Robinson is a guy that, quite honestly, if you looked at last year, he was really a productive player. Not all the time, but there was times where he really flashed, and so he's got to fill that void a little bit. I mentioned Austin a little bit, and we've got a lot of guys that have played some, right? And those guys, it's their time, so they just need to step it up. Guys we didn't see much of last year, guys like Davion Westmoreland. Did I say that name right? Yeah. Guys that he just played a little bit last year, but I think he's got a bright future. So I think all those guys are. Obviously Lonnie was explosive, our most explosive player up front, probably our most capable guy of consistently making big plays. So there's a little bit of a void there, but I always look at, all of a sudden it's some other guy's opportunity now, and sometimes you don't fully know what players can do until they're thrust into the limelight a little bit more. So so far so good with those things. I think guys have responded well to the challenge that's been put forth. And I have no complaints about how we're working at things, and I guess we'll have to see as we go forward here this spring about when we put pads on and really get going, who's going to step up, and kind of fill that spot.
What does JB Brown bring to the linebacker room?
Well, I think one thing is he's got some size, he's got some strength, he's got some speed to him. which is, I thought, something that we needed in our interior linebacker play. He's looks like he can be a physical player, which again are things that I think we need more of. So hopefully he's going to catch on to what we're doing here pretty fast, and we're gonna give him a shot to see what he can do. That also has kind of allowed us to move Taiwan Berryhill was kind of our outside backer. He still is, but he also is kind of playing some of our middle linebacker, Mike linebacker spot with Rich Miller. So I think that allows us to just improve our overall quality of our depth at those two spots. And again, it's too early to tell, but from the things you can see so far, I don't think we missed on any of those new guys that we brought in. I feel like they all can contribute somehow for us.
And what do you envision the biggest growth for Craig being in year 2 in the program?
Yeah, Craig is a unique player out there in what he does. There's not many guys around that can do that. One thing we've challenged Craig is just to take that next step in terms of just being a consistently physical player. And what does physical mean? We've tried to define that for guys best that we can. There's the flat out running into somebody hard physical part, but there's also the part of across the board on defense of playing more physically, is really finishing in a dominant position, no matter what you're doing, whether that's defeating a block, covering somebody, tackling somebody, finishing more in a dominant position. And I think that's something that specifically to Craig is a really capable athlete and does a lot of great things. He needs to become a more dominant finisher on some plays, and if he can do that, man, he's got a really the world's still ahead of him, and what he can do.
With Demarius, what has kind of stood out about him? Obviously, I think coming out of high school, very highly thought of. But what have you kind of thought about him through 2 practices?
McGee?
Yeah.
He's learning, so he's kind of spreading himself around. We have various different groups that work, and sometimes he gets with the younger group of guys, and he looks good out doing those kind of things. He can certainly move. I think he's got length, kind of like Kobe Bryant and Melo. Those guys are a little longer built guys. He's in that same mode. Just having a chance to really watch him a couple days, some of his one-on-one coverage and things like that, he looks like he's pretty skilled and pretty capable. And for him, it's more of just and really all the new guys. It's hard to really flash when you don't quite have everything that you're doing schematically down yet. It tends to slow you down a little bit. So really trying to encourage guys like him to just, hey, be wrong, but be wrong a million miles an hour. Let's just really see what you can do. You'll learn the coverages, you'll learn the scheme. Just make sure that we're playing fast and up to speed. And like I said, I think so far he's really done a pretty good job of that. So I think he can certainly be a factor in our playing rotation this year.
And you obviously lose kind of the top 3 depth linebackers from last year. You had JB. Who else in the linebacker room are you looking to step up to help improve the depth there?
Well, I think guys, again, like I mentioned, that didn't really get a lot of opportunity last year. Guys like Tristan Fletcher, who redshirted last year. He played a few games. He did some things on some special teams last year. Kind of stood out towards the end of the year. So guys like that. We've taken Jason Gilliam, who was obviously a safety. He redshirted last year as well due to his injury. He was a safety that kind of played our nickel, our outside, kind of what Craig Young does. And so we've kind of moved him full time up towards the line of scrimmage a little bit more. So those guys will all factor in there somewhere. I don't want to leave anybody out, but like Alex Reich, who's another guy that's that ended up redshirting last year. That's a kid with some length and some speed and things like that. So we have a lot of pieces that are yet to be ironed out in terms of where it's all going to stack up. But in terms of like guys you could throw out in a game and feel pretty good about who's out there and how they're going to perform, I think we've increased that number.
And you mentioned Jason. I guess how much did you feel like the redshirt season helps that kind of transition where he moves up, and what do you feel like he offers there at that
Well,
spot?
yeah, we kind of made that decision a little bit towards the end of last season, and obviously he wasn't even performing then. He wasn't even practicing then. He was still recovering and rehabbing. But I think it gave him the time. He's really a serious student of football and the game, and he's pages and pages of notes at a meeting. So it gave him a number of weeks at the end of the year in order to really absorb the position he was playing full time, and I think it's really helped him because he's stepped in there. It's kind of been a seamless transition for him. So.
What are you looking for Kenny to accomplish, even though he's going to be limited?
Yeah, well, he kind of stands back there with me a lot and stands on the sideline and helps with signaling and that kind of stuff. But it's trying to help guys like that. Just stay engaged, keep learning. Hey, you can't really do all the physical part right now, but there's the mental part of the game as well. And so again, myself, Coach Peterson. He tries to, we stand, him and Marv Grant is kind of in the same boat right now. They kind of stand and they watch, but we try to engage them in some of the walkthroughs that we do, so because they can do some of the walkthroughs during practice. They're really, he'll know what the call is. He'll stand by me. He'll tell me all the things he should be communicating, and so we're really trying to get the most we can out of him that way. And he's doing a pretty good job. It's if you've ever been hurt and can't perform, you know how frustrating that can be sometimes, and those guys want to be out there. But quite honestly, it's given a lot of other younger guys some opportunities now, so getting some reps that they maybe otherwise wouldn't have. And you got to deal with, play the hand that you're dealt with sometimes. So that's where they are right now, and we got to try to keep them engaged and keep them growing in all the ways, with probably the exception of the physical part of things.
Hey Brian, they updated the heights and weights yesterday on the roster, and I saw Dean Miller's put on like 20 pounds. What have you
Yeah,
seen from him?
he's been on an eating program. I feel like it's, sometimes it just takes a while for things to click, right? I just felt like it clicked at some point right at the end of the year last year. He started to take that a little more seriously maybe than he had before. We've got a tremendous staff of our strength staff and our nutritionist staff. They're unrelenting in what they, in their encouragement and their, what they provide for guys like Dean and really everybody on our team. But he's finally taken that fully to heart, and he's put on a lot of weight. Now he's still got a ways to go yet, but considering I think he came in at 192 pounds, and whatever he's at now, he's probably pushing 220, something like that right now. So that's in a half a year, that's it's about a 30-pound increase, which is a lot for any of us, right? So but he still can probably put about 30 more on and still feel pretty good. So he's a good player, and but when you're that undersized, your role is always you're a spot player and a role player. You don't really give yourself a chance to be really a full-time player. He's given himself a chance to be more of a full-time player right now.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.